All right, let's just jump right into it. Today, we're going to unpack a really fascinating framework that tries to answer a huge question. How do nations actually become great? We're going to see if there's a kind of repeatable blueprint for success. This is the big one, right? The question at the absolute heart of geopolitics and history. Is a country's success just about luck? Maybe some good geography, or being in the right place at the right time? Or is there something more deliberate going on? Well, the material we're looking at today has a pretty strong opinion on that. And there it is. This quote just cuts right to the chase. The whole argument here is that national success isn't something you just stumble into. It's engineered, it's a blueprint, and it's built on three core, very real pillars that, in theory, any nation could use. Okay, so what exactly is inside this success blueprint? Let's get past the big idea and start breaking down the actual framework, the components we can look at and really understand. The best way to think of it is like a lens, you know? It's a repeatable method that lets us look at any country, a global power, an up-and-comer, it doesn't matter, and see the specific path it took. It's really all about finding the pattern behind the power. So here are those three big pillars. First up, you've got contracts. These are the formal deals, the agreements that literally lock in opportunities and build new economic paths. Then come the decisions. We're talking about the pivotal, super tough choices that leaders make to steer the entire country in a new direction. And finally, discipline. This is the collective willpower of a nation, that shared focus you need to actually execute a plan for years, even decades. And they're not separate things, they build on one another. Now, here's where it gets really practical. Those three pillars, they get transformed into an 8-step formula. This is where the whole theory becomes a tool you can actually use, a step-by-step guide for taking apart and understanding any nation's success story. So the formula is basically split into two halves. The first 4 steps are all about the setup, because you can't possibly understand the solution a country came up with if you don't first get a deep understanding of its history and the problems it was facing. And this slide lays out that whole storytelling structure perfectly. You start with a hook to grab attention, lay out the basic facts, then you dig into the history to find that one fundamental problem that had to be solved. Because really, every great national story starts with a huge challenge. So after you've nailed down the problem, the whole analysis shifts. We go from looking at history to looking at active strategy. This is that moment where a country stops reacting to things and starts actually designing its own future. And there is one concept here that is absolutely critical. This is the engine of the entire framework. The argument is that real game-changing progress is built on formal agreements. We're talking trade deals that crack open new markets, security pacts that guarantee stability, or massive manufacturing contracts that build an entire industry from scratch. So you can see how the whole strategy just builds from that one central contract. The contract creates the opening. The solution is how leaders jump on that opportunity. The results are the hard numbers that prove it worked, and finally, you get a lesson that the rest of the world can look at. It's a complete cycle. Now, this formula isn't just a theory, of course. The real power is seeing how it works in the real world. So let's check out a few examples from the source material and see how this blueprint actually plays out with some of the planet's biggest powers. This chart is just fascinating. You can see each country is using the same core principles, but their focus is totally unique. The US used its military power and the dollar to back its contracts. China, on the other hand, used its massive population as leverage for manufacturing deals. Japan's strategy was all about the discipline of perfect quality, and Germany leaned into its incredible engineering tradition. Each one tailored the blueprint to its own national identity. Let's just zoom in on the two heavyweights here. The United States basically built the modern global system on a web of military alliances and trade deals that worked for them. China's rise was completely different. It was fueled by becoming the world's workshop through countless manufacturing contracts. And now they're expanding that with huge infrastructure projects all over the globe. Two totally different paths, but built on the same underlying principles. The story of Japan is maybe the perfect example of that third pillar, discipline. After World War II, the country's national character, that intense focus on quality, on efficiency, on loyalty, it became the heart of their entire strategy. That incredible discipline is what let them turn the ruins of war into a global economic miracle. And, this is a question the framework always pushes us to ask. It's a reminder that none of this was a sure thing. Every single one of these national strategies is a massive, high-stakes gamble. What if nobody wanted to buy Japan's high-quality products? What if China's manufacturing boom fizzled out? In hindsight, it all looks inevitable, but at the time,
Every blueprint carried a huge amount of risk. So, we've walked through the framework, the 8-step formula, and some really powerful examples. What's the final lesson here? Why does thinking about the world in this way actually matter?
It all comes back to this one powerful idea. Greatness, according to this framework, is not about luck or fate. It's the direct result of a deliberate, forward-thinking strategy. It's a blueprint that demands you prepare, that you have foresight, and that you have the guts to make those big deals. Which, of course, leaves us with one last really big thought. Who's preparing the best blueprint for the century we're living in right now?